What's up, everyone?
How you guys doing?
Welcome back to our podcast.
Some young guys here, just trying to solve the world's problems in a podcast.
That's right. My name is Carlos.
And I'm Lemac.
And welcome.
Let's get it started. So, today we were going to talk about Simps, right?
Simps. Oh, dude. Yeah. I think that's a good topic. Thanks for making those bullet points, that way, because there's a lot of things I like to talk about. Sometimes when you get the conversation flowing and it just kind of like goes, but then there's like no actual like structure.
Yeah.
And sometimes people are missing context, but
like every episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my fault, our fault.
No, it's all good though.
But it's a good time. We're just chatting, talking about some real stuff, important stuff, and there's a lot of stuff to talk about. So
that's right.
We just drift all over the place, and hopefully it's somewhat coherent.
No, definitely. So one of the topics was about simps, and how toxic and how, just hurtful it is to the rest of us guys. For me, it doesn't matter anymore because I'm in a relationship, but
yeah.
But it's just like for guys out there that are like, trying to date and all that stuff and whatnot. But like the nice guy, the guy that presents himself as like, oh, hey there, super nice and everything, like really like, letting the girl step all over him. Mm-hmm. And being very kind, and just so he can get the prize that he's really looking for.
Let's set some definitions first. So, for me personally, I think there is a very big difference between being kind versus being nice, because it can be a kindness to tell you where you're screwing up, but it's not necessarily nice. You know what I mean? Okay, like if you're just gorging yourself on, churros or Twinkies or donuts or whatever, the nice thing to do is to just like let you continue to gorge yourself. But the kind thing to do is be like, yo, you're gaining weight. Like, you need to quit that shit. Like, if I actually care about you as a person, as a friend, I'm going to tell you that you're killing yourself with what you're eating and you need to maybe eat better food and probably also exercise. That's the kind thing to do. But in that moment, it's not very nice.
Yeah, true.
And yeah, there's different ways you can deliver it. You can say, hey, you're a fat SOB, or you can be like, hey, man, you should probably slow down on the donuts. There are different ways to deliver it that are more nice than other ways. But at the same time, sometimes you do need that little bit of an emotional shock to be like, damn, maybe I am eating too much.
Yeah, sometimes you need that tough love. That's what it is, tough love.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, if you're a true homie, you'll, be tough love to your other homies, you know what I'm saying? And then, that's what it should be. Sometimes a lot of people like, play the guilt or the victim card, and you're like, dude, get out of that mindset. Mm-hmm. But going back to the simps, if you see a homie simping, like, get that motherfucker out of there.
Yeah, bro. Like, yeah. So there's kind, there's nice, you can be a good man without necessarily being nice. You can be a kind person without necessarily being nice. Being nice is not the highest virtue. Kindness is a virtue, and that does not necessarily mean that you're being nice, like I said before. But what we have going on now with simps is that they're cheapening male attention. Mm-hmm. And what that means essentially is just that because these guys that are typically, let's actually define what a simp is. What is a simp to you?
For me, it's someone that kind of, he knows, like, he's not confident. He lacks self-confidence. He kind of throws other people under the bus so he can look better. Just kind of like, shits on other people, especially in front of girls. Let's say a girl's like, oh, that guy's cute. And then, like, the simp would be like, oh, I heard he, like, cheats on girls, or I heard, like, he sleeps around. Like, why the fuck would you throw that in there? Like, what? Why?
Yeah.
It's like, are you that low that you're going to kind of, like, make other people feel like shit? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think from the simp's perspective, I would say that they probably think that they're being protective. I think a lot of simps don't even recognize that they're simps. Like, True. They don't even know that what they're doing is low T is the best description I could give that. It's not very masculine.
Yeah.
That when they're doing these things, they think that they're the white knight, the knight in shining armor. They think they're protecting the girl from this guy that might take advantage of them, which, I mean, it's one thing if you know a guy has abusive tendencies and being like, hey, that dude, like, really, he did this, this, and this. I don't want to, like, mess with anything, but just for your sake, because I know you're into the guy.
Nah, let her learn.
You know, sometimes there might be some kindness in that. But depending on the degree of abusive behavior that this man, this simp might be talking about, might be more okay to just let her know or just let it happen because, you know, people got to learn.
The manlier way to say this to a girl, you know, that guy is kind of like not the best person in the world.
First
and
off,
you know that, just be careful.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. That's a very good way to do it. Second, though, try not to associate with those types of people in the first place. Like, if I know someone that's like really abusive or just not a good person, I'm not going to be associated with them in the first place. So there's the chance that I'm going to be in a room with that person where there might also be females that I care about also in that room that might be trying to get with that guy or that guy might be trying to get with them, probably pretty low. I'm probably not going to be in that situation because I'm just not going to associate with that type of person in the first place. But that being said, what Carlos said about, hey, just be careful with this guy because he's just kind of a dickhead.
Yeah.
That's a good way to do it. Is just like, hey, I know this guy decently well, not the right type of person for you, but, you know, do you.
No, yeah, definitely. And especially, like, let's say, like, you like this girl or whatnot, but, you know, you guys are just friends, which, you know, that's bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then she starts, like, you know, you guys go out together or something, and then she's like, oh, my God, that guy's hot, blah, blah, blah. You already lost, my guy. You lost when you enter that friend zone. So,
yeah, pretty much. I honestly, I'm not really hanging out with females that I'm not, like, if they're not related to me, like I grew up with them or they're actually related to me, then I'm probably not hanging out with that many females in the first place.
I'm just a social butterfly.
If I'm not, like, trying to have a relationship of some sort, typically. Because I just don't really have time. I'm trying to get shit done.
I know what you're saying. No, I know. But it's just like, I hate myself sometimes because it's just like I'm very social, especially at work. You know, I'm like, hey, what's up? Blah, blah, blah. And like, I'm like, end up making friends with like everyone. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, fuck, dude, sometimes I just need to keep my mouth shut.
You also work at a hospital, so there's just a lot more female interactions. I work construction, so it's like there are two women that work at my shop. One of them is married and just had a kid, and the other one is just not my type. And they're both 5 to 10 years older than me, and I don't really go for older women, so it's just not going to happen. But yeah, I work construction, I go to the gym, and then I go home. So like fun. I'm not really.
I mean, I just go to work and come back home and go to the gym.
Yeah.
And then try to hang out with my girl when I can.
Yeah. You also have a girl, so like, of course, it's a different situation.
And a dog.
But yeah. So, anyways, the cheapening of male attention, what that really means, like the way that simps are throwing themselves. I didn't give my definition of a simp because yours touched on some things that I wasn't even really thinking of. You were talking more about like how a simp tries to undermine other men around the girl, which is also true. But what I was going to focus on was really like how he tries to secure like his mating strategy, I guess you could say, which is very similar to this actual biological term called sneaky fucker mating strategy. This is actually like what biologists that have discovered this mating strategy in the wild with animals, that's what they called it. I've also heard the term kleptogamy, like monogamy, but kleptogamy, meaning the root word being klepto, which is like a kleptomaniac is someone that steals a lot.
Yeah.
Kleptogamy is someone that will sneak in and steal the mate, essentially. And so, like, the way this works in the animal kingdom, say it's, from what I understand, it's typically found in fish. So what will happen is there's dominant male fish, and then there's not as dominant male fish that actually present more female. And then there's, of course, the females. Females lay all their eggs, and then the dominant male fish will scare away all the other males so that he has that territory. But this more submissive male fish, the sneaky fucker, will sneak in because he's under the radar. He's presenting more female and fertilizing the eggs that the female already laid to have his genetic material continue. The way that this relates to people is that the way that simps try to get in with a chick is typically just agreeing with a girl with whatever she wants to do, whatever she says, whatever her ideas are, just fawning over her, putting her on a pedestal. You don't want to put anyone on a pedestal, really. But especially in dating, you do not want to put your girl on a pedestal because, one, if you treat her like a celebrity, she's going to treat you like a fan. And celebrities typically don't mess with their fans, honestly.
That was good.
That's not my saying. I can't remember where I got it from, but that's not my saying.
That's probably the best thing I've ever heard in my life.
It's true.
That was good.
Yeah, if you treat her like a celebrity, she will treat you like a fan.
Gotta write that down.
You might be her friend. She might want to hang out with you, but there will be no sexual tension because you're not making any challenge for her kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, everyone likes somewhat of a challenge when it comes to dating. And typically, like, the whole reason Beauty and the Beast is popular is a story that's been told for countless years, decades. How old is Beauty and the Beast?
Who knows, dude? Probably
Since before I was born.
Yeah.
Like, the first Disney movie, Beauty and the Beast, the reason that story is still so popular, it's what is called an archetype. It's a female archetype, which is a story that is generally true for the broad population of females. They like the whole idea of Beauty and the Beast is that there's this beast and there's the woman that is trying to tame the beast, the man, and have him be more civilized.
Right. They're trying to put a muzzle on a dog.
More or less, necessarily. It's more, he's got some rough edges, and those rough edges are really good because he can protect, he can provide. He's not someone to be messed with. But if you can tame that so that he's not a danger to you, the female, but he's a danger to anyone that might want to pose harm to the female or the offspring, then that's a really advantageous position for the girl to be in for their relationship. And so that's why, you know, the bad boy always gets the girl, is because especially younger women see that in guys, and typically younger women are bad at determining what the good parts of those characteristics are. They just see the bad boy as like, oh, he's got some rough edges, but I can smooth them out, without necessarily being able to tell whether or not they can smooth out those rough edges.
The almighty saying, I can fix him.
Yes. That is why that is so true. It's such a cliche. Cliches don't become cliches if they're not reasonably true a fair amount of the time.
Right.
So that's where that comes from, is the I can fix him mentality is the Beauty and the Beast thing. And you need to, and Jordan Peterson talks about this all the time, is you need to become a monster and then you need to learn to control it. Because it's not good enough to just be nice. Because if you're just nice and incapable of being a monster, you're going to be taken advantage of by anyone else that is capable of being a monster.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And
absolutely.
Let me tell you this. It's a dog eat dog world out there. And it is. People will dress themselves as a sheep and play, you know, the nice guy too. It's like, hey, man, you know, they'll play the nice guy, or, you know, even a guy like trying to hit up on a girl or something, or like, hey, you know, like, oh yeah, of course, oh yeah, like kind of just agree with this girl, like for the girl can be like, oh my god, he's, you know, and then at the end, that nice guy loses, and then the real side of that nice guy comes out, which could be an asshole, a fucking crybaby. Like there's so many videos like I see because I follow like these like motivational accounts, and like masculine accounts and stuff like that, warrior accounts, and it showed like this guy crying and screaming in his car because his girlfriend broke up with him, or like it basically copied his video and it said she moved on. And he was like crying and just like shouting in his car, and then it cut to a different scene, and it just said like pick yourself up, don't be a bitch, blah blah blah. And it's true. Like, why would you cry? Like, why would you scream and record yourself and post it?
Oh, that's
the most bitch shit ever. I'm sorry, excuse my language, but you would never catch me crying or begging someone. Like, no, fuck that.
Yeah, no. It's just not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not going to happen. Like, it's okay as a man to cry if you really need to, but also when people see weakness in a man, it really changes their perception of that guy.
Especially women. If your woman sees you crying, her perception of you is going to change. Don't hear that. Don't listen to that bitch shit that people say like, oh, it's like, oh, that's not true. We like when our men are sensitive. Nah,
no,
bro.
It's like evolutionary, the way that women are designed to want a man that is capable of standing up to whatever challenges come his way. You can't accept that idea of being able to cry in front of your woman. If you need to cry, go in the bathroom, go in your room, lock yourself in for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however long you need. Get it out, and then get back out there and keep fighting.
Same thing with kids.
Yeah, kids too. I mean, if your mom dies and she sees you crying, that's one thing. If your dog dies, like, there are certain scenarios in which your woman seeing you cry is more okay than other scenarios. Like I said, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, like stuff like that, that's reasonable. But if like you had a hard day and you're crying, that's where you're going to run into some issues with people's perception of you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Yeah, like you said, kind of like go stand outside or something.
Compose yourself. Like
go
get it out, compose yourself, take a deep breath, and then get back in the shit. Mm-hmm. That's really what it is. You just got to get back in the shit.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very important, especially when you have kids. I think it's something that you should always maintain a strong figure because, they're looking up to you, and yeah, like you said, like I'm sure they'll understand like a family member passes away or something tragic happens, that's understandable. Mm-hmm. But let's say you can't control your emotions and you're just breaking down, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of more of a, I'm going to go stand outside. I'll be right back.
This is where, so this relates to two things. So first off, stoicism is the idea of, a lot of people confuse stoicism with being unfeeling and having no emotions, but really it's that you are so in touch with your emotions and in tune with them that you have them completely under control, so that you might be feeling the worst pain you've ever felt, but on the outside you're a stone wall. Mm-hmm. And you're just not showing that is pure control over your emotions. Mm-hmm. And now, to some degree, I don't want to say that you want to choose when to show your emotions and when not to. But there might be certain situations in which showing your emotions might actually be better. Just so you don't seem like a psychopath, because there are some people that are just not used to stoic people, where you might need to loosen up on that a little bit, and it'll help you relate to people more, I guess. Mm-hmm. is one way to look at it. I haven't developed my thinking on that idea all that in depth, but there's a general idea under there that holds relatively true. Not to say that you should use that to manipulate your people's perception of you either, because that's also scandalous. But the other thing that I was going to relate that to is this whole idea of men need to be in touch with their feelings more. Men need to be more feelings oriented like women are. Like this whole idea in society that has become a lot more popular in the last 20 to 30 years is this idea of men needing to, it's okay to cry. It's okay to for men to be more in touch with their emotions. You do need to be in touch with your emotions, but you need to have them very much under control, because men that are not in control of their emotions, those are the men that end up becoming school shooters. Those are the men that get labeled toxic masculine, type stuff. Like that's where toxic masculinity comes from, is a man that is not in control
And beating
of his emotions.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's where the violence of men come. The worst sides of men are men that do not have their emotions under control. And the best way to have your emotions under control is to understand them, understand why you're feeling them, but also not react emotionally to anything.
Right.
Men need to be the more logical sex. Women can afford to be the emotional sex, because when women get emotional and react on their emotions, typically the damage that they can cause when they go crazy is a lot less than the damage a man can cause if he goes crazy, as we have seen with school shooters and, Unabomber and all these different men that go and do crazy violent acts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, like a lot of things that I hear about, like most of the calls, 911 calls are like domestic violence. Those are the highest 911 calls we get. Well, like not me, but like I know someone, and he told me, he's like, yeah, you'd be surprised. Like the highest calls we get is domestic violence. I'm like, what?
I'm not surprised.
I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, a lot of like men beat up their kids or beat up their wife or murder sometimes. Never know. Or it can be the other way around. Maybe sometimes you get a violent ass woman. Bro, and believe it. Like, and it's sad because like, we're not taken serious. The men's that actually do control their emotions and hold their value and standard, and get abused by their woman. If it's not just physically, but also like with words and all that shit. Mm-hmm. Like, and then the man is like can withhold that, even getting shit thrown at him, punches and all this abuse and all this stuff. That's a true man right there. But the fact that no one really like bats an eye over to that, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
But it switches around, fucking whole world loses their shit.
Absolutely.
And to make it worse, like the mother's always gonna get like the kids, no matter what. Mom can be cracked out, living on food stamps, all that.
Not
shit.
all the time. In the more I know a guy at the gym actually who's ex-military, and he got custody of his daughter.
That's
good.
like
phenomenal.
Yeah.
But men have started to, the majority of the time, like 80% of the time, I want to say, is the women get custody, which is messed up. I think it should be default 50-50 custody, and then they look into the details of how well-functioning and mentally stable the parents are. That's what I think should happen, depending on the age, of course, because if it's a newborn, obviously mom is going to have custody because she's feeding. Granted, we do have formula, but formula is not good for kids. But if she's like on drugs, then formula is probably more healthy than the breast milk she's pumping out. Yeah.
I see what you mean.
So there are definitely nuances to it. Regardless, I was going to say something else. What I was going to say is with domestic violence is like, I can't remember exactly where I heard this statistic, but I think women actually commit more acts of domestic violence than men typically, but it's just a lot more damage is done when a guy hauls off and hits his woman than when a woman hits her man. So it's reported less when women do it, because a man can take a punch from a woman much better than a woman can take a punch from a man generally. If you get your average man and your average woman, like literally top of the bell curve of both, physically the man is going to be stronger.
Oh, for sure.
And then especially even at the ends of the bell curve, like we all understand how bell curves work. It's like that with all of your averages right here and then your extremes right here. Even the extremes of men and the extremes of women, the most extreme strength man is way stronger than the most extreme strength woman.
Yeah.
So women are losing most of the time. Obviously, those extreme strength women are going to be stronger than those average men.
Right.
But those are like bodybuilders and freaks of nature. So like we're not counting them.
There's a documentary about that. There's like a bodybuilder woman, she like reported that she was getting abused and whatnot. But in reality, she's the one that was fucking doing the abusing, and I think ended up killing her husband.
That's another thing I wanted to say. If you are getting abused, please talk about it with someone. Find someone that you can really talk to, and someone that'll talk to you seriously and take you seriously. You could leave her, but maybe you have kids and you're scared to leave the kids with her or whatever. Sure. Talk to somebody. Actually, go to a hospital. Talk to a doctor. Talk to a nurse. Like they are supposed to report if there's abuse, right?
Oh yeah.
If they suspect there's abuse of any kind, that's like whether you're a kid that's getting abused, whether you're a man or a woman getting abused. If you are being abused, going to a hospital is actually a great way to get help without necessarily having to go to the police or anything like that. Healthcare providers are obligated to help you.
Yeah. We're supposed to. We always ask, make sure, just everything's all good with you.
Yeah.
And then I hate when people are like, it's like we heard it a million times. They're like, oh, yeah, and they like look at their wife, and we're like, motherfucker, like, are you lying to us or not?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people use that strategy, like they joke around that way, but you never know.
Yeah.
I just think it's funny.
Actually, there's one thing still on the domestic violence thing. I think one thing that's really dangerous about simps is that because I think generally a good definition of a simp is someone that doesn't have that shadow incorporated into their personality. The whole becoming a monster and learning how to control it. That's in psychology, it's called incorporating your shadow, because everyone has a darker side to themselves, whether they recognize it or not. Typically, if you don't think you have a dark side to yourself, you need to do some soul searching and find that dark side so that you understand it yourself. Because most people,
is it that shadow thing?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I've been reading up on that.
Yeah.
That's some crazy shit.
Yeah. You definitely want to learn about the idea of the shadow, because every person is capable of both good and evil. Most people are more predisposed to one or the other. I think most people are typically more predisposed to good. That being said, a lot of people will think they're doing good and they're actually doing evil. So that's a whole different conversation right there. But the problem with simps, I think, is that let's say a simp does get the girl, and typically a simp does not have their shadow self well incorporated. Eventually, something's going to happen where that darker side of themselves is going to come out. And that's typically, I think, where abuse cases end up being more common, is the woman thought the guy was a nice guy. He was great. He was perfect. He ends up locking it down, getting married or whatever the case may be. And then he turns into a monster after the realities of a relationship come into play, because relationships are not easy. You got to work on yourself. They have to work on themselves. They got issues that are not going to mesh well with the things that you want out of life or out of your partner. And you have issues that are not going to mesh well with what they want. So you got to work on those things. And a relationship is always going to be work no matter what. Like, you just got to learn to love it and learn a strategy for doing the work. Jordan Peterson actually has really, really good advice for marriage and maintaining love in a relationship, because he's been married to his wife for he's in his 60s now. He's known his wife since they were both kids, and I think they've been married for 30-something years. And he was like, yeah, they're madly in love with each other still.
You're not wrong, though. You're right about the work thing. Sometimes we get old couples, I talk to them, and then the old lady's like, we've been married for 65 years. And I'm like, damn, what's the secret? That's kind of an honor. Not a lot of that exists nowadays. And they're like, oh, yeah, I know. They're kind of like sad about it. And then like the husband's like, a lot of work. You can't give up on each other and type of shit like that. That's what they start talking about. And I'm just like, damn, that's true.
And you hear everyone say that. And the hard thing to communicate is like the depth that, because you'll say something that like, it sounds like a cliche, but then if you've really experienced what it is you're trying to communicate, but the words are just not strong enough.
There's also really have to be a mutual ground too.
Mutual ground?
Yeah, mutual ground. Like where, like in a relationship, sometimes you want to say things, but you don't want to say it because you don't want to hurt this person.
Mm-hmm.
So there has to be a mutual ground where both of you come together and you both say things that you feel and you really want to say. You know what I'm saying?
Sounds like the Red Table Talks. Will Smith and Jada. Oh man,
that's brutal.
Don't televise your, what is it? The equal ground.
Yeah.
Don't televise your guys' equal ground, because that was tragic. She said that she'd been cheating on Will Smith with what's his name? What's the kid's name? It was Jaden's friend or whatever.
Oh damn. Even Future.
Augustina something, August Alsina, something like that.
I don't know.
Anyway, that was tragic. Don't televise your relationship beef. It's just not a good strategy for maintaining your relationship.
No, I think you should just have mutual ground between each other and just have like mutual ground between each other and be able to like say things without
causing problems.
No, it's like
Well,
understanding.
yeah.
Like it's like, hey, you know what? It's like, hey, this is how I've been feeling lately, and I want you to know. It's like a lot of people think it's like when you start talking out of like your soul, your heart, whatever, and like about how you've been feeling about a certain person, like your boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, whatever, and then you start like getting real. It's like, hey, I've been feeling this way. I just don't like. I haven't been feeling this way about you, and then they automatically think we're gonna break up. Like, no, motherfucker. Like, I'm just trying to tell you this. I've been feeling. I want to work on it, and I'm telling you because I don't want to like store it, and then cause me to lash out and be like, you know what, I don't want to be with you anymore and leave. Yeah, I'm telling you now because I want you to know and understand how I feel about what's going on in a relationship, and I want to work it and fix it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people nowadays don't understand about working and fixing and being able to have mutual ground between each other and talk it out and go against the problem. It's like, okay, why do you feel like that, babe? Well, I feel like that because I just feel like you haven't been putting, or we haven't been doing, or sometimes I feel like I'm the one taking all the, like, the weight and you're kind of slacking, and it's a partnership. You gotta understand it's a teamwork. You're building an empire. You're building a house. You're building a future. You should be thinking about your not just yourself, which is really important, but also thinking about your kids to come. Where are they going to live? Where are they going to be? Like, are you going to be able to provide for them? Like stuff like that together at the same time, and then also your physical form as well. You want to have your kids kind of. I know, like when you get older, you get a little chubbier, whatnot, blah blah blah. Cool, but try to keep a more healthier. Not just, I know some people don't work out and stuff like that. Maybe go for a walk, explore nature, read books. If you're not really into physical activity, build their brains up. Maybe eventually once you get to college or they get into some type of sport, they'll like, physical endurance or physical activities, and they'll have both the best worlds, knowledge and physical strength.
Absolutely.
So it's what you pick and choose, but it's, the pick and choose is like you gotta be positive about it. You gotta have a positive and better outcome than what you were dealt with. The cards that you were dealt with when you were a kid. And most of us come from immigrant parents and didn't have like the best cards to play with. Like I guess or dealt with because most of the time they were just working all the time to be able to provide for you, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah.
And then it took me a while to understand and learn. But I think I finally hit that point in life where I'm just like, damn, I wish I can go back and just be like, which I can't, but now I can show them that I'm really grateful for that. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to bring it back to the beginning of that part of the mutual ground thing is like, if you can't have a, not necessarily emotionless conversation, but if you can't detach your emotions from what you're trying to communicate and just hear what's being spoken by your partner, and if you are feeling an emotional reaction, maybe you need to just like say, all right, cool, I hear you, I'm gonna go on a walk to process what you're saying and process my reaction so I'm not thinking emotionally, and then come back to the conversation and we can continue figuring out what's going on. You need to be able to do that, because if you're having shouting matches every time you guys talk, somebody there, maybe both, maybe just one of you, has a problem with controlling their emotions, because you shouldn't really have to get in a shouting match. You should really be, your problems should be almost like business conversations. Like, here are the goals that we have. These are the responsibilities that we have, whether it's kids, bills, whatever. And these are the things that are getting in the way of these goals and responsibilities. How do we fix these as a couple, as a partnership? Mm-hmm. That's really how it should be run. Now, of course, like you can't just be emotionless robots. So there's going to be a balance there. There's going to be a way that you figure out how to do that works for you. But thinking of it from that perspective, I think would help a lot of people.
Yeah, I know. I know it sounds a little bit. It's that saying. It's easier than done, right?
It's easier said than done.
Easier said than done. That's right. But it just takes practice. It takes time. That's the beauty about relationships. You get to build, and then when you get married, or you look back in life when you guys are sitting on the porch and or like on vacation, kind of relaxing, and you kind of look back and you're like, damn, babe, we made it, or damn, babe, like, remember we used to argue, or damn, babe, like, remember when we were struggling, or like, that's the beautiful part about the relationship. Like, if you really, both of y'all connect and you guys are meant for each other and really push forward, and you make it, you succeed in what you guys both had goals for. It's just beautiful at the end when you guys kind of sit back and relax, or kind of like just reflect on all you guys' relationship and be like, damn, like we really went through it, or like we really got through some like shit,
Yep.
And I think that's beautiful, personally.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, like mutual ground though. That's very important, and
Incredibly important.
And that's an issue with me though. Like you were saying, like, oh, like let me go take a walk, and so I won't come back emotional. I'm not saying I talk emotionally. I'm just saying, like, I'm the type of person that I want to talk about something, and I want a yes or no, or what is it, so I can fix it, or why do you feel this way, so I can kind of change my perspective or change my mind and kind of think about it at the moment.
Yeah.
My lady's more of a person that stays quiet, and I get a text like 3 hours later saying everything how she felt or anything, and I was like, oh my god, okay.
I honestly hate that, but
I hate that too.
it's a communication style, and at least you get in communication. That's what you got to really focus on. Is just like focus on the positives, look on the bright side every time you can. Look on the bright side. That's something that is super cliche, and everyone says that, but man, looking on the bright side, seeing the good side of everything really, really helps. First off, your own mental health, like in the day-to-day, whether it's relationships, work, going to the gym, like whatever happens in life, looking on the bright side, understanding the negative side and how this is going to affect you, and being able to react appropriately so that you can solve whatever problems that issue might bring up. But as far as your mental health and maintaining a positive outlook and a positive mindset, looking on the bright side, trying to find the bright side of everything is extremely helpful. I am kind of lucky. I was kind of raised with that with my mom, and thank you, Mom. She was very good at that. And so I've never really had a problem looking at the bright side, but some people definitely do. And just got to encourage that so much. It helps a lot. I'm relatively happy most of the time. Like, shitty days happen all the time, but I just don't let it affect me. Also, I got God. So like, that's another thing, is like, whatever happens, it's like God got my back.
I feel like I get over things really fast.
Yeah, same.
Like, I'm just like, whatever. Like,
part of the benefit of being a guy.
It's
not
kind
as
of
neurotic.
True. I find it kind of funny though. Like, when I kind of realize I'm mad about something, and I'm just like,
why am I mad?
Why am I mad? Yeah, exactly. There'll be times when I'm like, either my lady and I get into an argument or something, or we talk about something, both get upset, and I'm on like driving on the way to work, and I'm like just kind of pissed. And then I kind of like get to like the stoplight, and it's on red, and I just kind of sit there, and I'm thinking, I'm like, what's the point of being upset? And then that's when I kind of just text her and be like, look, like, I'm sorry, I'm saying, like, if I sounded or came off wrong, or like said something I didn't know how to put my words together, but I just want to let you know this is what I was trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
And then that she actually responds, because she's more of a texter than a communicator in words, which, but it's something.
Yeah.
So she responds just like, okay, well, yeah, like, it's all right, blah, 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 but this, and that. And I'm like, okay, I'll try to work on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of things that she's helped me out with, and I'm really grateful for. I feel like it's just like also maturing and knowing that eventually I'm going to be able to have, or not be able, but have kids. So it's like, okay, and then it's time to put child things away.
Break these chains before we got these kids. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. And then that's part of the relationship growing too, and not being a simp, honestly, personally.
Yeah. Because like, if you're a simp, you're not going to bring up the problems that you've got with your partner, because you're just going to be a simp. You're going to let them walk all over you.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to put your desires, your wants, your complaints under the rug, and then eventually that rug is going to pile up, and it's obvious you got a pile under that rug, and it's going to either blow up or you're going to have a heart attack. Like, those are your options.
Or sacrifice. Yeah, like what you said, that's really important. A lot of guys, they simp over a girl, and they, like you were saying, put her on a pedestal, and then they're like, they sacrifice their own values, like, let's say.
And she's not even going to treat you with respect because she can tell that you're just rolling over to everything she wants. And that's going to be a relationship. Like, the girl that you like, you won't want that. Trust me. If you're a simp, if you're simping over a girl, you're just putting all of your wants and needs under the table and on the back burner. She's going to notice that. Women are very perceptive, and they have intuition about people much better than guys do. You can develop your own intuition, guys out there. You can develop your intuition a lot better, but women naturally are more inclined to be more in tune with people and social aspects, all of those different things. They're just better at it. It's part of our evolution as a species. Like, men were out hunting, and we needed to be logical because we need to take down this lion or take down this elephant without getting killed by lions. So we need to be very logical and regimented, whereas they were at home picking berries and raising the kids and navigating the social landscape more so than the men were.
Absolutely.
So that's why they typically are better at that type of thing. Anyways.
What do you think girls like guys with uniforms and like because they're going somewhere, what I'm saying? They're going forward.
They got something that they're doing.
Exactly. Like someone that's going to be always texting a girl, always like, hey, what are you doing? Hey,
that's another thing.
No one wants that shit, bro.
Some girls want it more than others. Some girls want you to never text them until you see them. Some girls want to be texted every now and then. It's going to be different for every girl. But Absolutely. Giving them your attention all the time is unattractive. They're going to get tired of that at some point. If they're not tired of it now, they're going to be tired of it at some point.
Girls like mystery.
Yes,
girls
absolutely.
Like that. Like, ooh, what is he doing? Like, why isn't he texting me? Like, they're freaking out. Like,
they want to think about you.
They want to be in control. But if you take the ball away from them and you get in control, they start like, wait, why are you going over here? Why are you doing this? And then you're like, that's when you kind of, soften up and be like, it's all right, baby, don't worry about it. I'm just putting in work for us, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That's how I kind of see things. If you give the girl too much attention, she's going to be like a kid with a toy. He plays with it too much. I don't want it anymore.
Yeah, pretty much. That does happen. There are nuances to that. Not every girl is like the same way with that type of thing, and the attention that you give is going to be different with every girl, and the way they receive it is going to be different. So there's got to be you just got to get the reps in, basically. Talk to girls as much as you can. I'm not saying sleep around, but like get to know as many women as you can socially in friend groups, and just develop your relationship skills as far as just friendships and talking to people. Just being sociable. Get your social skills up. That's a very big thing, and one of the best ways to do that is to go to bars. If you are living in an apartment and have zero friends, first off, I would say get in the gym and then start talking to people at the gym and try and make friends at the gym. That's a great way to make friends. If you're going consistently, the people that are also going consistently are going to notice you. They're going to recognize you, and you just like nod, say what's up, like, oh, what are you working on today? Or like if you see someone doing something that you might want help with, or even you just want to make conversation, just be like, hey, what workout is that? Can you like show me what you're doing, how you're doing that, what your training schedule is?
I can't do that.
That type of stuff. If you have zero friends, you're going to need to find a way to make friends, and I would say that's probably the easiest one to do it. Like, easiest way to do it.
Believe it or not, I mean, like, I'm super social, but, at the gym, I'm just like, I don't want to bother this guy. Yes. I don't want to be like, man, this, I don't want him to think something like, dude.
And there's definitely some nuance to that. Like if they got both a headset on and they're like repping it out and they seem like they're really in the zone, don't bother them. If they are looking around, they're like not really, they don't seem like their head is really in the game, but then, you know, they do their reps and they're getting the reps in or whatever, then you can maybe go up and ask them and talk to them and all of that. Just try not to interrupt their workout. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you interrupt their workout, there's going to be a problem. But if they just finished a set and you're like, hey, can you tell me what you're doing, or show me what it is that you're doing, what muscle group you're working on, blah, 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 then they're happy to help for the most part. Most people are like, oh, yeah, I could show you. Like, most people that are like regular gym goers, they want to help other people that are trying to improve themselves. Mm-hmm. At least that's how I am. And for the most part at the gym, the people that I've talked to that are regulars, they're just like that too. They're very approachable for the most part.
Facts.
There are some people that look like they would rip your head off, but for the most part, gym guys are pretty approachable.
Yeah, we're pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't talk to any girls, so.
Yeah, we're looking for people to talk to. Actually, that's one really good way is like you make the friends at the gym, try and hang out with those friends outside of the gym if possible, and then maybe you'll get to know their friend group, and you know, you could be like, hey, I just moved here, I don't really have any friends, I'm trying to meet new people. And that's also another situation that most people are going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, I can respect that. Props to you first for having the balls to say that, because most people are going to be kind of embarrassed to say something like that.
True.
I know I would be for a little bit, but you just got to do it, because otherwise you're going to die alone. Like, if you don't make the steps to try and make friends, you're never going to make friends. So you got to take the steps.
Yeah, you need friends. Like,
you got to have friends. Human beings are social creatures. We are not built like, that's why, what is it? Solitary confinement is one of the like most torturous punishments. That's like the worst punishment in prison, solitary. And people get really messed up from being alone and having no one to talk to aside from themselves. The longer you put someone alone, the more messed up in their head they end up being.
Yeah, you lose your social skills. Definitely.
Yeah, you do lose your social skills.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. People keep you in check. Having friends is like, that's how you keep from going insane or becoming a psychopath, is because when you start to manifest negative tendencies or little things that are not really cool come out, people are going to correct you on that. And if they're your friends, they're going to be like a little bit more, they might be harsh about it, but they will tell you like, hey, that's not really cool. Like we were saying before, kindness versus being nice.
Yeah. Definitely.
It's a good way to tie it back up.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
about
definitely.
45 minutes in.
That's good. No, yeah, definitely. Yeah, you need friends. I think
you need friends.
You should put yourself out there in making friends. Don't fall into that, people, high school theory, because in high school, I remember you try to be yourself or like try to talk to people and they'll be like, oh, he's not cool. And then like back away. It's not like that when you grow up.
Yeah. When you get out of high school, it's cliques or not, like people that are different from everyone else. Mm-hmm. That's really what it, and granted, there are ways to be different that are negative and ways to be different that are positive. Like if you like skinning cats, that's probably not a good way to be different. I don't know why that was the first one that I thought of. That was just the one really good example of what not to do. That was the first thing I thought of. I don't know why. But anyways, there are good ways to be different. There are bad ways. If you like drawing, that's a great way to be different.
There, I'm new in town. I just, trying to make some friends. Oh, what do you like to do? I don't know. Just
taxidermy.
Blow up shit.
I mean, if you ask me, blowing shit up sounds kind of fun. But you gotta...
You gotta put more context.
If you see guys with like military tattoos, maybe tell those guys you like blowing stuff up. They might be like, "That's badass." But anyways, yeah. So let's see. Be kind. Don't necessarily be nice. Incorporate the shadow so that you have like character to yourself.
Fix your traumas.
Yeah, that too. That's how you incorporate the shadows. Like really dive into exploring the traumas that you've been through in your life, whatever those might be. And also another thing is like your issues that you deal with are not someone else's issues. And the hardest things that you've ever been through are the hardest things that you've ever been through. Doesn't matter that there are kids in Africa that are starving necessarily, because that's their situation. It's not yours. The hardest thing you've been through is going to be very hard for you because it's the hardest thing you've been through. Even if it's that you stubbed your toe and you've never stubbed your toe before. That's the hardest thing you've ever been through. That's going to be pretty tough for you because you've never been through that before. I recommend you go and do some hard stuff because that's going to build your character, but don't beat yourself up necessarily. Because I had a friend one time that was like really down and out and like depressed because for the most part on the outside, and he was looking at himself from the outside, is like he didn't really have all that much to complain about. He was like upper middle class white family that was relatively well off, but he was just depressed all the time for who knows what reason. And I could think, where did that come from? It was just, anyway, it was a hair. But yeah, he was depressed a lot, and that was just something that I hope helped him. I had to give that advice to him, but yeah, don't focus so much on how your life compares to other people's lives. That's a big thing.
That's a big thing.
That can really, really mess up your own psyche. Is just like, what have you accomplished? What are you trying to accomplish? And keep grinding forward.
Yeah. Don't, even if you're not where you want to be at, just take your time and go there. You know, if you can advance when you have the opportunity, advance.
Find people that have already done the thing that you want to do too, and ask for advice from them.
Exactly. Ask for advice, talk, you know, go get out there, you know, go out to a bar, you start talking to someone, and then what ends up, you know, they're also in the same thing you're into. It's like, oh, shoot, you know, I just finished school for that. You know, I'm actually looking for a job.
You'd be surprised how often you'll find people that are doing the same exact thing that you're trying to do, just off random encounters.
Or like, oh, you know what, I have a friend that works for so-and-so, you know, like, you seem like a cool guy. Like, you know, let me introduce you to him. You know, you really hit it off. Awesome. Sometimes you might not. Sometimes you will. You know, it's a winner, you know, win-win. You made another friend. You made another conversation. You're building yourself.
Exactly.
And, yeah, get out there, be yourself, you know, and, you know when to, you know, you got to know, you also got to read the room. You can't just show up and be like this loud person.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
yeah. So
don't be a simp.
Don't be a simp. Incorporate your shadow.
That's right.
Treat your woman right. Report domestic violence. And then make some friends.
Don't skin cats.
Don't skin cats. Yes. Yeah, that's also a good one to remember.
I hate you for that.
I'm sorry, bro. That was just I don't know why that was the first one I thought of, but
so rad.
It's a really good example of what not to do, though. Like, if I met someone that liked to do that, I'd be like, I might have to report you. But I definitely ain't gonna hang out with you. Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay.
All right.
I believe so.
All right. Well, it's been Some Young Guys. I'm Lemac.
Once again, thank you guys for joining us.
You're not gonna say your name?
Oh. Later.